And how do we go in? How do we intervene in a situation like this? It's not like Libya, where it's 5 million people, 300 tribes, far away from the center of gravity of the Middle East. This is right at the heart of the Middle East. So we'll see how this goes forward. As I say, Mitt Romney is calling for strong support for Israel, for our increased defense spending. The basic idea of his campaign that I've seen so far is that he calls for an American century, that the 21st should be an American century just like the 20th. And one of his key statements has been that the unifying thread of national security for us is American strength. When America is strong, the world is safer. It is only American power that can provide the foundation for an international system. The best ally the world peace has ever known is a strong America. So how that fits in to our deficit situation, what kind of trade-offs we make is what we as voters will be facing this year against the backdrop of crises like this. So I'll stop there. I maybe went too long, and very interested in your questions or observations. Yes?
Thank you, Tom. The Russians and the Chinese have not always played well together, and the Russians have had their own issues in the Middle East, and on their border and their ethnic minorities. How do the Russians play in? What does that do vis-a-vis our relationship with Russia? Are we allies because of a common enemy?
They're a very big piece of the puzzle, and they're crucial to the next phase, I believe. Russia bears a grudge against us. In the 1990s, they really fell into a vacuum. I know Bill knows this very well. He was in Russia during those years and saw, as I did, the lack of a central authority there. Vladimir Putin sort of reestablished things, by becoming more authoritarian, unfortunately. But when the dust had settled, Russia found that we had expanded NATO in their direction. We promised them we wouldn't do that. I was in meetings myself where our Secretary of State promised Edward Shevardnadze that if we allowed Germany to unify, we would not expand NATO. Well, Bill Clinton did expand NATO. He felt very strongly about Poland in that situation. In any event, underneath, Russia bears a grudge against us, stemming from the 1990s. And unlike Turkey, which sort of gracefully gave up its empire, the Ottoman Empire, there's a lot of revanchism still in Russia. They don't want to be a world power again, but they want to be a regional power. And they want to be the linchpin of Eurasia, to the extent they can, and in spite of their demographic crisis, because it's a terrible demographic crisis there. So, under George W. Bush, relations with Russia got very bad. We tried to expand NATO further into Georgia and Ukraine. It led to the Russian invasion of Georgia. We tried to put missile defense in Poland right next door. Now, when Obama came in, he redefined the threats. He said the threats facing us are global, climate change, nuclear proliferation. We have to cooperate with countries like Russia and China, even if they have different political systems. So he reset our relations with Russia, pushed the reset button. And relations have gotten better. They've been helpful in Afghanistan and on other issues, even in the UN. But it's starting to shift now with Putin's re-election. Mitt Romney has declared that Russia is our #1 geopolitical foe. He's accused Obama having neglected the human rights issue. And he's talking in terms of reintroducing the missile defense concept. So tensions are growing with Russia. Now, so the question is going to be, in the